Loredana. Very good to be speaking with you today. The first question I have for you is, what made you rethink how we are using the term soft and hard skills?
So I have to say, for the longest time, I have been questioning, why do we call these skills soft and why do we call the other skills hard? I have a problem with both. So for me, the word soft implies something that is fragile, gentle, a little bit fluffy if you want. And I always thought, we talk a lot about leadership and followership and emotional validation and all these things. And why do we think that the skills are soft? Not only that, but the more I advanced in my career and the higher I got to higher level of management, what I realized is that I need more and more this type of skills, but the implication that they are soft sort of didn't match the importance. So if something is that really important, why do we call it soft? And then I have to say, I don't know about the rest of you, but when you call something hard, there's an implication that is more challenging. Not only that, but the word hard implies rigidity, heaviness, maybe even opacity. And if I think a little bit about what are hard skills, right? What traditionally we call hard skills, they are skills that need to constantly evolve, right? You can learn a software language today, but it's going to be obsolete in a year. You can learn coding, but you're going to have to constantly sharpen the skills. You can learn, physics and mathematics or engineering, but you constantly have to evolve the skills. You constantly have to sharpen them. They are not static, which the word hard implies static. So for me, these skills are very dynamic. Therefore, they need a word that reflects this dynamism. So I challenge both of the soft and hard terminology because I don't think they reflect anymore the way we value them as society, the way we employ them, the way we think about them.
It sounds like you had a personal epiphany about this, but why do you think this change in language from soft and hard to sharp and smart is important for the rest of us as well?
So one of the things that I experienced in my life as a professor in executive education is when I talk to learning and development or HR experts, and they say, we want our staff or our executives to improve in their soft skills, but they don't really like it when we give them feedback that they need to improve their soft skills, right? So can you think of a way to sell the product, if you want, the executive education product, but we can't really call it soft? And I was like, well, then why do we even call them soft to start with? And I kept thinking, so the absence of soft is hard and the absence of hard is soft, but the absence of soft skills, the way we traditionally think about it, they actually don't make somebody harder, they make it dumber. I'll be very honest, right? So I thought, a person that is very good at interpersonal relationships, that is very good at managing up, that is very good at navigating, diversity, it's actually a very smart person. And now granted, there's a lot of people calling them very differently, which I love because it seems like the whole world now is fed up with this model. So some people, instead of soft, they call them people skills or power skills or cognitive skills. But for me, once again, I don't think this is really a reflection of how I think in my limited world, if you know, how I think of these skills as being important. And I always thought that somebody who's very good at these skills is probably a lot smarter than most people in the organization. And sharpness, once again, it came from this idea that when I look at the type of skills we teach, when I look at the type of skills that we need these days, we need skills that constantly need to be updated, that constantly need to be sharpened, and constantly need to be adjusted to this very fast-paced moving world.
I think, like you said, smart skills have always been really important, especially as you advance in your career, but especially as the world is recovering from a pandemic now. Why do you think these smart skills are more relevant than ever?
So to be honest, I think even before the pandemic, truly amazing leaders, truly outstanding leaders that had a very high impact on organizations, they were very good because they were very good with people, not just with the business aspect of their organizations. I mean, of course, you have to be amazing at, finance, accounting, strategy, system dynamics, but truly outstanding leaders were very, very good because they were very good with people. And this is what I think this project is all about. If the title of this book is "The Job is Easy, the People Are Not," our responsibility is to help people be better and therefore make the job better. I think post-pandemic, what the world has realized is that we do need an environment where we are surrounded with a lot more empathy, where validation is an important skill both to practice but also to ask for, where managing diversity, truly managing diversity, productive inclusion is essential for success, where a leader and a follower cannot be just one, but they have to be both. So I think, if anything, the world of pandemic taught us to be maybe better humans, or to be a lot more aware of the fact that we all need a higher level of humanity if we want to survive not just the pandemic, but this entire global crisis of climate, social, and economic impact, if you want.
So would you say that smart skills are an essential set of skills, not just for leaders, but for every working professional, and why?
So I think, to be honest, at the end of the day, everybody's both a leader and a follower. It's just a different construct, how much you lead and how much you follow. Think a little bit about why working with people is so hard, which once again is the title of this work that I'm co-producing with my colleagues. It's very hard to work with people, which, by the way, I am people too, and you're people too, so we all make somebody's life hard at some point, because we are very complex beings. We have, one of my students says that we're like a complex algorithm with emotions and feelings and frustrations and all of these things, right? And somehow, it's such an interesting paradox. Somehow we expect people to come in a workplace almost depleted of any type of negative emotions, but we still hire them for their personality. It comes with both sides, right? You can't really have one without the other. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, we all work with people. We are surrounded by people. It doesn't really matter what kind of job you do. You work with people, and you're also people. And if the job is easy, the people are not, our responsibility is to help people get both smart and sharp, right? We have to help them develop a set of skills that it's essential, not just for their professional success, but for their success in general as a human being. If we're really looking for a world filled with, artificial intelligence and, automation and robots, etc., I don't think we're going to be ever there. And we will continue to have to work with people. And like I said, our job, I think, is not really to augment intelligence, but maybe augment humanity.
One last question I have for you, Loredana, is a very interesting question. I'm very curious to know, how do you choose your co-authors for this book?
So I've been thinking about this title for a long time, because I teach about, the job is easy, the people are not. But I never really knew exactly what to put in the book, because a lot of people would ask me, write a book with this title. This makes so much sense. And as I started thinking, I was like, well, if the job is easy, the people are not, our job is to help people be better, right? And then I thought about the top 10 smart skills, which I'm going to talk a little bit about why we chose these smart skills at ASB. And then as I was thinking about the book, I was thinking, these are just my views, but wouldn't it be interesting to hear from somebody that I work with every day, that in a way makes my life harder and I make their life harder, to see how they think about this smart skill. So for a second, I was tempted to go in and speak with people who are very, very public, right? With maybe some, I don't want to call them celebrities, but very public personas. And then I realized, but I actually don't work with these personas. I work with people like you and I every day. And at the end of the day, it's not a celebrity or an influencer or somebody who's very, very famous in their field that makes my job hard. It's the people that I work with every day with. And I also am responsible for making their job hard. So I wanted this book to resonate with the readers by realizing that you work with these people, the type of people that are writing this book with me. You work with these people as well. You don't work with somebody that you see on a stage or somebody that you see on social media or somebody that you read a book about, but you work with everyday people. You work with everyday people who need to be getting smarter, who need to be getting sharper. And maybe by reading stories that are a lot more approachable, you can resonate a lot more with this type of people.
That's really inspiring. I want to ask a little bit more about what you mentioned earlier and why you selected, out of the many smart skills, why did you select those? How do you come to the top 10?
I get this question all the time because, to be very honest, I think there's thousands of smart skills out there. And when I started this project, I didn't start the project with the idea of writing a book. I actually started by first changing the narrative around the smart and sharp, right? I said, We can't call soft skills soft anymore because there's nothing soft about them. And hard skills are not hard. They just need to get sharpened. And then I started looking at what helps my students succeed in their MBA program and then post-graduation. What helps you become successful? And then I also started looking around at my colleagues and my environment and the community and the stakeholders that I interact with every day. And once I started paying attention to what kind of behaviors bring you closer to whatever your definition of success is, I was like, this person is very, very good at managing up. This person is very good at understanding what their stakeholders need. Then I started looking at how some people in my environment, and I'm not just talking about my organization, but in my professional environment, they seem to be in a very high need for validation. And you might say, so what's the big deal if somebody needs validation? Well, it turns out that what I learned is that excessive need for validation, or what I call them validation addicts, make very, very big management mistakes. And they make them because they need to validate an ego, which is dangerous to do in business, right? We're not here to validate egos. One of the reasons why emotional maturity is top of my top 10 smart skills is because I lack emotional maturity. I think I'm a very emotionally intelligent person, but I'm not emotionally mature. So I wanted to improve myself, and in the process of trying to improve myself, I learned about emotional maturity, which is the capacity to manage your own emotions, especially in a climate of constant change and stress and pressure. So there's so many more smart skills out there, and I don't want to say that these are the only ones one need to succeed. But these are the ones that I have seen firsthand, my students, my colleagues, myself, and my environment. And when we talk about this top 10 smart skills, we also have a lot others around it. Creativity is a massive skill. I actually don't think it's a smart skill. I think it's a meta skill because it requires so many more. I think of obviously empathy and endurance and so many more skills. But like I said, my choice was very personal, and it was a choice that I made based on things that I see every day, things that I experience every day, and things that I would like to improve about myself and even others every day.
So as you dug deeper, were there any skills that surprised you where you thought it was one thing on the surface, and as you dug deeper, you realized it was something else? Or is there a skill that you think many people misunderstand?
So there's a few, I would say. I would start with followership, because followership has this narrative that you follow a leader. And I don't think you follow a leader. I actually think an outstanding follower follows a mission, follows a vision, follows a purpose. I think of Greta Thunberg to be an amazing follower of her own beliefs, of the beliefs that, we are in a climate situation, in a climate crisis, and she follows through. I think of Mother Teresa, if you want. She followed through her purpose and mission in life to help the poor. I think we think of followership as a skill that is required to follow your boss, the same way we think about managing your boss. I think of managing up as managing your stakeholders, thinking ahead of what your stakeholders need, what your stakeholders want, how can you help them in advance, for which you need cognitive readiness. I have to say, I don't think a lot of people in my environment even knew what cognitive readiness is. Once you put a name on it, once you define it, once you teach about it, once you learn it, and once you practice it, you cannot unsee it. It's everywhere. And then probably the most surprising not for myself, but for my organization, was validation. I think there's a misconception that validation is telling somebody they did a good job or praising somebody. No, validation is so much more beyond that. And if you start paying attention to why some leaders say the things they say, it's so obvious that all they want is validation, which is fine until it becomes toxic. When somebody becomes an addict of validation, when somebody needs way too much validation, this is when they make major managerial mistakes. And at the end of the day, management is not just a science. Management is very much the art of managing people. And once again, the job is easy, the people are not. Therefore, our job is to get people smarter.